if that level of uncomfortability also comes up, probably is that there's a lot of unresolved things in your life, and it's okay. And it also shows you a bit of a path that there's things to work on.
Let me tell you my thinking about death. I think it's the greatest illusion of all, because I believe that we can never die.
When we talk about how the physical is connected to the spiritual, and back pain can symbolize that you're carrying too much.
One of the reasons I love this guy so much, because he is authentic. I mean, he talks with such passion and power and love for this medicine, for this experience, because it transformed his life so much that his mother noticed. And I've seen pictures before and after, and this is a profound effect of sacred plant medicine and ceremonies. Welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Mike Murphy. I'm also the author of the book, The Creation Frequency, and founder of Mountains of Hope, a transformational healing retreat center in Medellin, Colombia. Each week in this podcast, we bring you the most amazing guests and powerful content that will inform you how you too can learn to use your own powerful voice to manifest optimal health, wealth, and transformation that you desire and deserve. Welcome, everybody, to the Power of Your Voice podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Murphy, and super happy that you're here, very grateful that you're here, and thank you for all your support. The numbers keep going up, the shares, the likes, the subscribes, but what I like most of all is the shares. So if you hear something that's super powerful for your life, and you know somebody that it would be super powerful for their life, please share this content, because we really get into powerful ways for people to heal and to overcome and to have breakthroughs and to create the best version of themselves and create the life of their dreams. That's what this podcast is all about. And that's what our main business is all about, which is called Mountains of Hope, which is a healing and transformation center here in Medellin, Colombia. We have a super interesting show today. In just a few minutes, I'm going to bring in our guest. He's a young man from Germany that found himself down here to Colombia and is working with sacred plant medicines and doing retreats and seeing miraculous things happen. And he's got a miraculous story of his own. He's very passionate about this, and that's what I love about him. But before I get into that, what is medicine? What is sacred plant medicine? What was medicine before there was this current system of medicine, which is called allopathic medicine or Western medicine, which has only been around since about the turn of the 19th century, in the early 1900s. And I'm not going to get into it today, but I encourage you to Google it and see how it came to be, what it's all about, as opposed to medicine prior to that, okay, where they use plants and flowers and stuff from the earth and stuff from our own body, and had a different modality of healing without all the side effects. Was it as effective? I don't know. You know, we all have to be the judge of that. I will tell you this, that the third leading cause of death in the United States of America is medicine, either a medical procedure gone wrong or a drug interaction gone wrong. So it's not an exact science. It's not foolproof. So at Mountains of Hope, we really teach people that we believe you have the ability to heal yourself, put into the right environment, because we believe that most illnesses are caused because of the environment. It's not genetics anymore. Epigenetics is really proving to people that it's the environment, it's what we think, what we drink, what we eat, what goes into the body creates our health and wellness. And so that's what Mountains of Hope is all about. So the reason this is top of mind for me right now is I just lost a very dear friend just a few days ago. So that's heavy on my heart. And last night I had a call from a woman that wants to come to our first retreat, which is this December. 46-year-old woman. 2 years ago, had a mole on her neck. Her jacket caught it, started bleeding. Turns out it was stage 4 melanoma. Next thing you know, she has stage 3 ovarian cancer. Next thing you know, she's got tumors on her bones, and they're doing biopsies. And she wants to come to our retreat to learn how to heal herself. It was a very difficult conversation, because when we own the fact that we've created everything in our life, and this was a conversation I had with her, you have to own the fact that somehow you are responsible for this condition in your life right now, which is a heavy burden to put on someone, but you're no longer a victim. If you take responsibility for that being in your life, then you're the creator of that. Now you still maintain your power, and now you can fix it. If you say, oh, poor me, I'm a victim of circumstances, I've given away my power, now I'm subjected to people that may or may not have my best interest at heart, and I've given up responsibility for healing myself. And I believe that everybody has the power to heal themselves. With all of that said, I'd like to bring onto the show right now Oliver Glozik from Germany. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
And I'm very grateful to be here, especially because we haven't known each other for that long. But from the conversations that we've been having, I can tell that we are on the same wavelength, seeing the things that are happening in the world, also internally, externally, in a very similar manner. So very excited to dive deeper into it. Of course, also very important topics. We, in a way, even about life and death.
Yes.
And even death is a big teacher.
Exactly.
And it's like we're right into like a very uncomfortable topic in the very beginning of the podcast. But if that level of uncomfortability also comes up, probably is that there's a lot of unresolved things in your life, and it's okay. And it also shows you a bit of a path that there's things to work on.
For sure. Let me tell you my thinking about death. I think it's the greatest illusion of all because I believe that we can never die. I believe that we're energy, we're a soul, we're heart, we're internal, timeless consciousness. And we entered this body in the womb. We came out of the womb and we grew up and we will leave this body again, just like my dear friend just did, just like my late wife did 10, 11, 12 years ago. So death is an illusion. You can never die. What's your belief system around death?
Well, I think it's very interesting because I like to talk most passionately about the things that I've experienced and not things as much who are concepts to me because they're concepts. And to a degree, for me, I feel like it makes sense and I think it's the truth, but I don't know it, right? But I do believe that we have a soul that is imprinted, how do you say it?
Eternal, permanent?
Eternal, permanent, that is full of love, light, being, and that it's that you are a spiritual being making a human experience.
Exactly.
And then you are here in this realm and then make the best out of the human experience. And I don't think death is the end of the life here on earth, but I think the soul still remains. And I think death is a great teacher, because it makes you aware of the things that you really want to do in your life. And for me, I had an Ayahuasca ceremony into my earlier journey with the plant medicine, where I was confronted with death in a ceremony. And I got really scared because I thought, well, we all know we're going to die. I thought, I'll die when I'm 70. So when I'm 60, I'll think about death. And then it came up to my ceremony, well, maybe you're not going to live until 70. What do you mean? But that kind of starts a thought process. Well, how do I want to live my life? And it's better to think about it when you're 30 than when you're 60. Yeah. Even if you're 60, there's still things that you can do in your life. And then you think, okay, what kind of impact do I want to have? What kind of values do I want to live by? What legacy do I want to leave? And it forces the wrong word, but you live more in the present moment. You appreciate everything that much more than by knowing that everything is in the end temporary, and make the best out of today. So I think it's a little bit of a heavy conversation to start off with, and I'm not the person to shy away from things, but it's a very valuable teacher.
So let's backtrack for a minute and get a little background. So you're in Germany, a young man having a human experience.
Absolutely.
And now you're in Medellin, Colombia, still a human, but having a spiritual experience. What happened? What was Germany like growing up? How did you end up here? And what's it like now?
So very fortunate that I have two amazing parents. And my mom's a yoga teacher. My dad's an engineer. So I kind of had both sides.
Left and right brain.
Yes. And I went to Montessori school, kindergarten. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with that.
Yeah,
but
very much so.
basically they let kids develop whether they want to go more into math or
Arts,
languages, whatever.
whatever.
Like they kind of like let kids develop the way they want to, which I also like, because it's like, who says that by 8 years old you need to learn this?
Right.
Let kids develop.
Right.
And the friends of my parents, they make fun of them or like joke around. Like if you send your kid to a Montessori school, they're going to end up doing an ayahuasca retreat center in Colombia.
Well, but let me comment on that, because in your opinion, and there's no way to answer this, but I'm a bit jealous, not jealous, but how many people, in your opinion, out of 100 are born to two enlightened, down-to-earth, grounded parents that have the wherewithal to send their kid to a monastery and really be engaged in their life? But that's a very fortunate experience. In my opinion, it's 1 or 2% of people are born like that.
Incredible. And that's also, we started to get into my story and to say that I've had the fortunate childhood of having amazing parents and being able to develop myself. When I was 16, I was in the US 4 years, an exchange student, opening up my horizon to what's possible, new cultures. I grew up bilingual. So, but of course, for me, my dad's an employee, and when I was 19 years old, I started, had like a scholarship in Germany where you work and study at the same time. It was at Volkswagen, and you kind of go on track to go on the executive route. And I like to joke that that's a German dream, to work at a good company, get a good steady paycheck, have access to credit, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the American dream is more to be an entrepreneur, build everything. But I was going there, 19 years old, 10,000 people working.
In Wolfsburg? Were you in Wolfsburg?
I was in Munich. It was a sub-company of Volkswagen called MAN. Okay. They were in bus and trucks. Okay. And so 10,000 people going there and going from the metro station to work. And I just look at people's eyes, and I just see zombies walking in and out. And I was like, if this is the dream, I don't really want it. So then I went on my entrepreneurial journey, tried out a lot of different things, was a lot on shiny object syndrome as well, did one thing, then saw, that one makes a lot more sense, and jumped around. The last venture that I did for about 2.5 to 3 years was building a video marketing agency for software and IT companies. A lot of software and IT companies, they don't know how to explain their benefits. They are too caught up in the technical things. So if you have a 2-minute explainer video talking about benefits, it's something that you add to the marketplace that is valuable, and also something standard, I would say. And for me, I was also mostly money motivated to be in it. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, wanting to make a lot of money. But if that's your main reason for doing something, you never have that level of passion, enthusiasm, spark.
And fulfillment.
And fulfillment, yes. So, and I've also heard about ayahuasca for a long time, but it's not as easy to find it in Germany. Eventually, I did for a friend of a friend.
Let me ask you a question. How old are you right now?
30.
And so this was like 5 years ago when you were hearing about ayahuasca?
I heard about it when I was in my early 20s, but the first time I did it was 3.5 years ago. Okay,
but when you were hearing about it, I mean, what I'm getting at, is it trendy? Is it like everybody's talking about it? Everybody wants to try it? Is it? And we'll get into that later. But one thing I want to get in later is because it's not like taking drugs for fun. Mm-hmm. It's for taking drugs for growing and evolving, and it's medicine. Okay, so anyways, you're hearing about it, and then what happens?
Well, for me, the intention to go into ayahuasca was to become the best version of myself.
Okay.
You hear about a lot of entrepreneurs talk about they found their purpose, they have a deeper vision for their life, what they want to create. That was what drew me to ayahuasca. And then I encountered, ayahuasca showed me, well, before you find out about your purpose, there's a lot of things you need to take care about your life first and clean things up. And
what did it tell you? First of all, about 3 years ago, you came down here and did it for the first time?
I did it in Germany for the first
time. Oh, you
time.
did it in Germany? Interesting.
My very first experience is the first 3 cups, I didn't feel anything.
Wow.
and I was getting.
How about everybody else in the room?
They were feeling it. I was the only one. People were crying, laughing, everything.
Were they throwing up?
They were throwing up too. I was throwing up too, but I just didn't feel anything. And
so you were just purging, but nothing, no feeling.
Effect. And I was also getting a bit frustrated, right? Because ayahuasca is many times described as a feminine energy. I did the whole diet, the preparation, and then you do everything you need to do, and then nothing happens. I'm like, what's going on? Now looking back, I can tell it. I used to live so much up in my head, and I did personal development, but the personal development was around sales, marketing, improving yourself, being charismatic, all that kind of stuff. Feelings, emotions were foreign to me. If somebody 4 years ago would have asked me, "Oh, listen to your heart," I'm like,
right,
okay, I know I want to travel. So I needed, in that case, a big dose of ayahuasca to start to connect with myself.
So during that ceremony, did you take more and have an experience, or
I drank 3 cups, didn't feel anything. I took the 4th cup, which is very unusual, and then I just had unconditional love flow through my whole body, and it was a transcendental experience.
How long into the ceremony did it take you to drink the 3 cups, and how many hours were you into it when you drank the 4th cup?
So usually it's rare that you drink a 4th cup.
Right.
But the shaman in the moments was open to it, and I would say the first 5-6 hours I drank the 3 cups, didn't feel anything. The 6th cup, then I felt it, and then you also kind of like let go of sense of a time and everything, and you're in the moment. You feel the love. So that was, I guess, the first lesson about coming back to your body, opening your heart, feeling the love. And one of the next lessons for me was about authenticity.
Same journey or another journey?
No, going.
It's still. Are you still in Germany at this point?
I'm still in. That was a retreat in Italy, but
okay.
Still in.
So you're in Europe. You do another retreat,
mm-hmm.
and you feel. Explain about the authenticity.
Well, I used to think, well, you need to get the best results. So what do you need to say to get the best results? Whether it's in a business situation to get the outcome that you want, to get the contract signed, whether it's on a date. But in the end, what I felt is that, you put on so many different masks that I forgot who I was. There's so many constraints. Oh, I have to fit into this box. I have to fit into this box. And I was so constricted. And it's also one thing to then feel it in the ceremony. Oh, you have to be more authentic. But then,
how did you hear that message? Is it a feeling? Is it a voice? How does it come to you?
For me, it was a feeling. Also, it's just
and a thought.
And a thought, yes. But just that I was carrying so many inhibitions around me, and just like, be yourself. But it's then one thing to feel it in the ceremony, and then when your friends ask you of something, and usually you would say no, you would say yes, then you say no, and they're but like, what's going on? And they have every reason to be upset as well, because that's the way they've been knowing you for the last years, and now you're the one who's different. And then conflicts come up, and you stay true to yourself, and those are...
So you lose friends.
You lose friends. Also, it can be temporary, because for me it was, with some people it went away, and then
came back.
Then it came back, but at times, and I think it's also okay. And you don't have to say the other person is an idiot or this, that, or whatever. You can love each other from apart.
Right.
But in the end, you have to be your own best friend.
Yeah.
And if I have to be somebody else just to be friends with somebody, that doesn't make sense. So just be yourself, trust in yourself, and then the people who will be in your life, they're the ones who are supposed to be in your life. Also, of course, the rejection feels a lot more intense as well, because if masks get rejected, it's like, whatever. But then if you get rejected, you're like, it hurts more.
Let me tell you what I heard you just say, and see if it makes sense to you. You're living in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You go, and after 4 cups of drinking the tea, you feel this immense love, and you start to open your heart. You start to move from your head to your heart, and you start to open it.
Mm-hmm.
So the next session is the medicine says now you got to be authentic, because up here we can't be authentic. This is where all the mask lives. This is where the ego lives.
Yeah.
Up here I can lie, cheat, manipulate, steal. I can do all kinds of things. Here I can't. This is my real authentic self connected to my creator. So this is pure. So I can't manipulate from here. So if I live here, I have to be authentic. And you just said on something else very important, that when you get rejected, it hurts. And so what I found in my life and other people's lives, especially when we're young, young child and then adolescence, and then we get hurt here, we start to feel these hurts. We don't even know it because we're not taught about our feelings, but we start to contract. We start to close this beautiful heart of ours. And the only place to go is here, right? And now we're kind of screwed. Is that a good recap
That's
of what
incredible.
you just said?
Yes.
Okay, so now immense love, authenticity, living from your heart. Now what?
Well, for me, I just experienced such a level of growth in.
Did you keep doing the medicine periodic? How often?
So, for me, everybody's on a different journey.
Yes.
But what happened to me is I encountered certain aspects within myself, and then I was like, that weren't in harmony. That I knew there is something that before I wasn't aware. And for me, it was like a sign. You have to go in there and figure this stuff out.
Go inside.
Yes, like what is this that is causing that level of disharmony, resentment, all that kind of stuff? And so for me, I wanted to keep on going deeper.
Yeah.
Others are like, they encounter something, it's like, oh, I don't need ayahuasca for the next 2 years, and it's okay too.
Yeah.
It's
But
just,
you wanted to go deeper. You wanted to peel back the layers of that onion and get to
Exactly.
the core.
Exactly.
Because you were born to these two amazing parents that gave you this amazing upbringing and Montessori schools and 4 years in America and so on and so forth. So you have that hunger.
Yes.
And I also think that your generation, the kids being born today and 30 years ago, they're coming with a different purpose. And because they knew what was going to be happening, which is happening right now and is going to continue to happen until we usher in a better reality of consciousness and love and connectivity. So it's interesting that that's going on. So I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Yes, so I've just experienced this immense level of growth. Also, my mom noticed after about 4 months, like, Oliver, your smile is a lot bigger. Your eyes are alive, and that's what moms care about. And that's also change that is happening. I feel like I woke up from like a zombie state to becoming more alive. So I knew there was something incredible in this journey with the plant medicines, and I wanted to connect deeper and come to South America to experience it. And it was COVID times, 2021, when I got here, and I was like, I want to make the experience now, because you don't know if in a year the plane tickets are $5,000 to come from Europe, if you're even allowed to travel. I was like, if I make the experience now, I make the experience now. So I went to a retreat in the jungle for 10 days.
In the Amazon.
In the Amazon, yes. And had a very deep process. I would say the biggest one is fully accepting myself.
Excuse me one second. In 10 days, how many ceremonies?
I ended up doing 7.
7. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I think after 4, I got what I needed.
Okay.
And it's...
you were just looking for more.
I mean, that was the retreat setup.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I wanted to go with the retreat as well. But I think there's also, after you receive the message, you also want to
integrate
bring it to the real world.
Yeah.
And not just like
right.
we keep recycling it. But after 4, I got the message I needed to get. And the biggest was accepting of myself, forgiving myself. And there was such a deep level of peace. And after that, I felt the calling to start a retreat center. And if doors open up, I was like, I'm not going to say I'm not ready for this, and I have to wait for 2 years, because you're never fully ready. And I didn't know what I would get myself into. New continent, new language, not knowing a single person, new profession. New profession as well. But those are also the experiences that make you grow, where you come to a new place, you don't know anybody, you don't know the language, but you develop.
Yeah.
And you meet the right people, and then the magic of life happens. And you have experiences most likely for yourself. Medellin, Colombia, amazing city, amazing country, a lot of magic that happens here.
And by the way, let me say to the audience, one of the reasons I love this guy so much, because he is authentic. I mean, he talks with such passion and power and love for this medicine, for this experience, because it transformed his life so much that his mother noticed. And I've seen pictures before and after, and this is a profound effect of sacred plant medicine and ceremonies. So let's talk about that. So ayahuasca is a tea that is brewed in the Amazon jungle, comes from a bark of a tree, and they put a little flower in that gives it a hallucinogenic effect, and they cook it for 3 days, and they pray over it. Then they bring it into ceremony, and we drink just a couple ounces of it. Then what happens? Why does it have such a profound effect on you?
I love a story. It's about Tata Kerubin. It says it. He's over 108, 109 years old.
Is he here?
He's in Colombia, yes, in Ecuador. And he says, I've been drinking ayahuasca for more than 100 years. I know a thing or two about ayahuasca. But in the end, the ayahuasca will do what the ayahuasca does.
Exactly.
It's the mystery of the plant. And I think it's beautiful that he said that, because he could say, I'm this strong, good Taita, I know everything. But he was just like, the plant does what the plant does.
And that's a perfect illustration for life, because life does what life does. We can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
We can only control our reaction to it, but we can't control what's coming at us.
What I like to add on top of it, because it can feel like, I'm taking this mysterious plant medicine from the jungle. I have no idea what's going to happen. Will I go crazy? Will I lose control? And we can go into that in a moment as well. But in the end, it's a mirror to your soul. It's your consciousness meeting your consciousness through the ayahuasca. And so the anger, the sadness, the frustration, the happiness, the joy, those are all things that are inside of you that you start to become aware of. We also don't like the word hallucinating, because it says I'm seeing something which is not there. What we like to use is, you are in a state of extraordinary consciousness, and in that state of extraordinary consciousness, you start to become aware of the things that you've been suppressing. For me, it reminded me of the love that I haven't felt for myself, because I was overly critical and all that kind of stuff. And then reminds you, hey, you're beautiful. Others are like, hey, there's a event that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that you haven't emotionally processed. And you can say it with your head, like, it happened and it's okay. And you keep on living, but
Still there.
It's still there. And
Until it's not.
Yes. And it influences you.
Mm-hmm.
You procrastinate, you seek validation, a low self-worth, things that are associated to trapped emotion. And why would you want an event that happened in the past have such a strong impact on your present and your future? Don't you want to heal from those, become whole within yourself, and then create your life out of abundance, your life out of love? Because you have looked at what you needed to look at, healed what you healed, and can become the best version of yourself and live an amazing life.
So, because I drank this medicine, I'm getting this new awareness, this new consciousness is bringing up issues in my life that I didn't deal with properly, and now I have the opportunity to deal with and put them to bed forever and to be free of them. Is that how it works?
Yes. Also, there's a physical aspect to the ayahuasca as well, the purging. It's vomiting or diarrhea, and when people are vomiting, like, oh no, why do I have to do this? Like, nobody wants to vomit, right? And ayahuasca has the tendencies to go into those dense areas of our body, of our energetical body, and open those up. And once you start to release those stuck energies, then it allows you to go into higher states of consciousness, understand what you need to understand. And it goes into something we briefly talked about before we started recording. It's about thoughts. Thoughts are hard to change. There are 80,000 of them a day. Like, you cannot control your thoughts. And I'm a very big fan of Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness. And he talks about how we like to think that our thoughts are very individual. But if you take two people who are in the consciousness of anger, they will have very similar thoughts. If they're in the consciousness of apathy, guilt, pride, gratitude, they will have very similar thoughts. And let's say I'm stuck in my pattern and I cannot get out of it. If I'm able to connect with myself, release, surrender the underlying emotion that is causing the anger, now after it dissipates, loses power of you, now you can think clear thoughts. Now you can have more clarity. Now you can access higher quality of thoughts, higher quality of consciousness. So I think that's shifting that level of consciousness is something we don't learn about, something which is elusive, but is very real.
And then the interesting thing about thoughts, every thought creates a chemical. Mm-hmm. Every chemical is released into the body, creates a feeling. Mm-hmm. And until we learn to control this thing up here and get it to create the right chemicals that make us feel good, we're a slave to this. And that's why it's so important to move from here to here, which the medicine taught you. So you run the retreat center. You're like the businessman. You participate. You're there to counsel and facilitate, but you have a real shaman that comes in. And who is that? What's their background? And what are they like? And what's their passion, purpose?
So we work with the tribe of the Kamsabiya, specifically with the family of Mama Concha. She's over 60 years old. Also, in Colombia, they're called Taitas and Mamitas. And it's not as, it's pretty rare to encounter a female who does ceremonies as well. She's over 60 years old. She's incredible. And so that's her 10 plus generations upwards. They've been sharing ayahuasca. Her grandfather was even 120 years old and also with high vitality. It's one thing if you're 70 and you're tied to your bed, or maybe even like, I'm 90 years old, but I haven't done anything the last 20 years, or
what's the point?
You have a lot of vitality even to that high level of age. So that's the origin of the family that we work with. But it's also not as easy to organize as many ceremonies with them.
So busy. The
amount that we do here in Medellin as well. They live in the jungle. So I work with two different shamans here, Sergio Henao and Juan Fernando. They've been on this journey for the last 15 years. They have the permission and blessing from Mama Concha to share their medicine. Juan Fernando is still an active professor in multiple universities here in Medellin. Sergio was as well, but he's focused on like full-time in the plant medicines and being with his family, his two kids. And I learned from them. And also where I take pride in, let's put it that way, is that I also drink the ayahuasca. And it's not just that I'm the business person behind it and like orchestrating everything and getting things together, but then when it comes to the retreat, I don't tell the people like, okay, tomorrow have a good ceremony and tomorrow we'll see each other. Sergio's going to take care of you. But I partake in the ceremony. I'm there whenever people need any level of assistance. And when I went on this journey and asked Sergio, okay, like I want to learn more about ayahuasca. He says, if you want to learn more about ayahuasca, you have to drink more ayahuasca. So by also keep on going within, the ayahuasca ends up teaching you. You go through a lot of processes yourself. You observe other people's process. So when somebody has a reaction, you've seen it multiple times. You've experienced it yourself. You know what that person needs in that moment. And ayahuasca keeps on showing, the blind spots, things that you need to improve on. I mean, I know the direction that I'm going in my life, but at times, you get a bit off track and then you get back on again. And the level of growth that I've experienced over these years, even if I just look back 6 months from now or a year from now to now, it's incredible. And one of the things that...
And do you give most of that credit to plant medicine, ayahuasca?
I think that's where it gets a bit tricky, right? Because in the end, it's still you who does the work.
Right.
And it's amazing.
So you could do this without the plant medicine. This is an assist. This is a shortcut. This is faster, stronger, more powerful. Mm-hmm. It's just another approach. You can do it through meditation. You should do it maybe through marijuana. I don't know, other plant medicines. So, but this is a powerful teacher. Mm-hmm. And you bring up how old these shamans or taitas are. And think a lot of that has to do with because they're always detoxifying, they're purifying their body through the medicine. It's the purging.
Yes.
So take us through a ceremonies. There's how many people in a room typically, and what kind of, is there music? Is there prayers? Is there chanting? What's that like? How many? There's the taita. How many helpers? There's you as a helper. What's all that like?
Yes. I'll get into that one moment because
Please.
you just mentioned something which is, I think, beautiful, the purging aspect of it. And that's the base of the indigenous medicine, that you don't just go do something for your health when you are sick,
Right.
but that you keep on
Proactive.
cleaning yourself. And if you think about how the toxins which are in the air, in the water, and the food that we eat, and we absorb all of that, how many times are you cleaning your body? How many
In America, I don't think Americans ever do.
Yeah.
They take a shower, but the internal, that's the frustrating part.
and then things are clogged up. And even if you take amazing vitamins, minerals, your body isn't even able
Right.
to absorb it.
Right.
So you need to, and in the tradition of the Kamsa, there's over 200 different purgatives that you can take.
In addition to ayahuasca.
In addition to independently of ayahuasca.
right.
And I keep on drinking them as well, at least twice a year. But
Just more cleansing.
yes, but I even do more than to a year to keep on the body healthy. And it's also goes into like the difference between medicine and drugs as well, because you take these and you feel horrible, right? There's a purgative, it's called Azuvak Toto. It only grows in a very specific part of the jungle as well. Find nothing about it.
How do you take it? How do you
You
ingest?
drink it,
Okay.
and
And then what happens?
drink it first thing in the morning. No food, no water before. You also drink it in one shot because it tastes horrible.
I'm doing something similar right now, you know.
And you sit down, you hold it for 30 minutes at least, and that takes 6 to 8 hours. You vomit between 2 to 5 times. You go to the bathroom between 10 to 15 times. You're hot, you're cold, you have nausea. You're just like, why did I take this again? Like, stop it. So it's like not something that you would look forward to, but you are changing 6 hours of pain to cleaning all of that out and then feeling a lot of
Boom.
energy.
Yeah.
One time I took a purgative, and then 2 days after I hit a personal record in my workout practice. So you see the benefits from it, and you have to go through the difficult to get the positive. And as the purgatives, the detoxing, I love what you're doing. Those are a part of to help to clean the body and to become healthy.
Exactly. Okay. So
You want me to go to the ceremony?
yeah, I'd like to especially the prayer, the music, the spirituality part of it. Yeah, please.
So before we drink the ayahuasca, a lot of times we share rapé before as well.
Elaborate what that is.
Rapé is a plant medicine as well from the Amazon. It's made from different trees. From it, it's a powder form. It's also applied to the nose, which can seem a bit weird, right? Because it's like, what do you mean? I applied it to the nose. That is like
And it has tobacco in it, correct?
tobacco is. There's different types. The majority of them have tobacco in it, but not all of them. And it has it also that it makes the journey from the head to the body. It cleans the body. It prepares the body for the ayahuasca. At times, people are nervous before drinking. It centers people.
But basically, you blow that substance up the nose.
Yes.
You do it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just a boom, just like a shock of
It like goes up like.
awareness. I'm here now. I'm wherever I was before. Now I'm right here.
And you might even also notice a certain pain in your back,
Why?
depending on people or
So everybody has a different reaction.
everybody has different direction, but then reaction. But when we talk about how the physical is connected to the spiritual, and back pain can symbolize that you're carrying too much emotional weight, carrying too much responsibility, carrying responsibilities of others, and you can start to become aware of certain tension
Stress.
that you hold in your body.
Yeah.
So that's good to start to connect with yourself. Then before we
Am I in a room? Are we in a room doing
yes,
the ceremony?
you're in a room.
And how many of us typically?
So the way that I do the ceremonies, I have a maximum of 12 people in the ceremony. I also do help out in ceremonies that Sergio does. We've done up to 80 people as well.
That gets a little sketchy, though.
It's
then.
good.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of facilitators, but it's a lot different to have an experience with 12 people than it is with
Yeah, I'd much
50
rather have
plus.
an intimate setting
Yes.
myself.
So we have the intimate setting, usually around 12 people. You can be a little bit more, a little bit less. We have
How many helpers with the Taita?
So we got Sergio, Juan Fernando, we got the musician, and we got myself. So at least 3.
Okay,
So that's like a 1-to-4 ratio, which is
safe.
really good. Of course, if there are more people, there's also more helpers as well. And the ceremony itself. So before we share the ayahuasca, there's you share kupal, which is an incense that you put on the fire, and then it's a smoke that helps harmonize the energy before the ceremony itself. We pray to the ayahuasca in certain forms of prayers that Sergio has learned from the indigenous. There are also certain Christian elements in it as well. We can talk about it in a moment as well. Then we drink the ayahuasca, and the first 30 minutes, the job is to keep the ayahuasca inside. And sometimes when the urge to vomit comes, you have to keep on breathing deeply, ask the ayahuasca to stay in. And it can be also the ego that is afraid, knowing like, oh, now there's something coming up for me. I want to get rid of it very quickly. So it's also that part, like, no, I actually want to have this experience. Then usually after the vomiting, the experience starts to intensify. And then throughout the ceremony, we have 5, 6, 7 different instruments, incense, smells, singing as well, to help transform the energy, to keep a certain rhythm as well. And of course, if somebody needs personalized attention, we are there to help as well. And I'm gonna knock on wood. Also, in the ceremonies that we've done at my retreat center, we have not had one person scream at a ceremony.
Scream, nobody.
No.
Seriously.
And
How many ceremonies? How many people?
I was over 100 ceremonies.
Well, that just means you're doing a really good job of informing them beforehand, and so no one freaks out. Everybody feels safe, and I think that's the important thing.
So I also say knock on wood, because eventually it will happen. It's not like we are immune to it, but I think there's the preparation, what you just mentioned, is a big part. Because if I have conversations before about it, if I know what I'm getting myself into, know that I might encounter certain things that I've been suppressing, and then you are ready to have the experience. Also, Sergio has a lot of stability in his life. I feel like I have a lot of stability in my life, that wears off as well. You know, let's say somebody, because there are some people who like drank a cup of ayahuasca, after 10 minutes he's like, it's very strong. I would like to stop now. It doesn't work that way. And then I tell him, but you got the strength, you got this, and I reinforce that. But I reinforce that because I've had those moments where I felt the overwhelm, and I worked through it myself, and then they see it, that, you know, that you're centered, that you're doing good, and it's not just the words, it's the energy that transmits.
Yep.
And people, one of the feedbacks that I received that I'm very happy about is that people say, I have intense experiences, but I felt safe throughout the whole process. And
that means you're doing your job.
Yes, like
That's a compliment.
And when people feel safe, they allow themselves to open up. They can make the experience that they need to make to keep on growing in their life.
I'm going to ask you one more question about ayahuasca, and then we'll go on to other plant medicines. I've heard, I've read, but I haven't seen people that were in the United States, the doctor says, sorry, you know, your illness has gone too far. Nothing more we can do for you here. Go home, get your affairs in order. I've read they come down here to South America, they do ayahuasca, and they're healed of their disease. Have you ever seen this, heard of this, familiar with any of this?
Big topic. And I'm not sure how politically correct I have to be on the podcast, how careful I have to be.
I mean, if you're telling a story of something, that's a story of something. We're not making any claims here that ayahuasca can cure anybody.
And that's
our philosophy of Mountains of Hope is that only you can heal yourself with your creator, and that's up to you.
Yes.
And so if you come to Mountains of Hope, you come to our retreats and you heal of a disease, you did it, not us. And so I don't know what Western medicine thinks if they're healing people or not, but that's our philosophy.
Yes, I agree. And let's say somebody has cancer. And my personal belief is that your body is talking to you and your life is talking to you. And
Because the body wants to be healed. The body wants to be functioning 100% normal, healthy all the time.
Yes.
Right? So if there's something wrong, something's wrong. So let's find it.
the problem is we're not listening.
Right.
And then it comes back stronger and stronger. And we keep on not listening. And then you got cancer. Okay.
Now I'm listening.
I have to listen. And my personal belief is that if you experience cancer, it's probably something that there's a fundamentally wrong way of living life. And
it could be mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And you might not be aware of it, but ayahuasca, you can access those extraordinary states of consciousness and see where we talk about radical responsibility as well, what in me caused the cancer.
Yeah.
How did I co-create this?
Right.
Where am I greedy in my life?
Right.
Where have I not forgiven? Where am I holding on to grudges? Where am I in a victim mentality? What parts of me maybe even wants to have cancer because now I get a certain level of attention from people that I didn't get before. And each case is different, and having those understandings can be a valuable first step to overcome it. It even goes as far that some people have experienced that there was an operation going on their body while they were on ayahuasca. Others feel that snakes entered their body and just like started to rearrange a lot of things, and it's a lot very energetical as well. And there might be a big energetic thing that's in this alignment
Blocking,
and then it opens up. So there's a lot of magic that can happen. I also like to say people who experience cancer, and then we can talk about identifications. And the more I tell I have cancer, I'm the type of I have cancer, and then you identify with it, where it's like, okay, I experienced it at this moment. And then
another way to say it is the body has cancer,
the body, yes.
Not me.
Yes. And those are things where they're very important topics, and I have these conversations with people, and it also really depends on their ability to look within, because many times a wall comes up and somebody watches this video, this podcast, and says like, oh, he has no idea what he's talking about. Like, I have this, and this is horrible, and this happened to me, and it's easy for him to talk. He's 30 years old, wait until he's 60, and then he has cancer and all that kind of stuff. But it's because that shield is there, and that person in that moment
It's just a closed mind, closed heart, and
not ready to,
which is based on fear. Yeah, and you're coming from a place of love. There's conflict. Yeah. All right, let's move on. The one I'm getting ready to do, which you've done and I haven't done yet, Kambo. And what is Kambo?
So Kambo is frog medicine, frog poison.
Frog poison.
Whatever you would want to call it.
Yeah.
And
it's frog poison that works as a medicine.
And the way it works is you burn the first layer of your skin. Also, before you do that, you drink 2 liters of water, and you put it on.
So they extract the poison from the frog that comes from the Amazon.
Yes.
And then they burn your skin because if the poison gets into your blood, it's going to be very, very bad. But if it gets in through the lymph system, through the skin, then it activates an immune response. Then what happens?
And also, one of the legend myths is that the indigenous found that through ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So they
tell the story of that. It's kind of fascinating.
Well, the real reason, or one of the main reasons the indigenous drank ayahuasca back in the days, was to connect with the different plant spirits and let the plant, everything has.
And by the way, let me interject, because we're not woo-woo. I mean, this is scientific. So when he says the plant spirit, okay, everything is a frequency. So let's use that word, okay? Every plant has a different frequency. Every cell in my body has a different frequency. Every human being has a different frequency. So we're all broadcasting a certain frequency. So
Thank you for interjecting, right? Because it can sound so foreign, but
Right,
then you look at quantum physics and it's like,
Right.
yes, everything has a frequency. Yes, this pillow is, is frequency. And
But because when you say, looking for the spirits of the plants to talk to them, okay, that sounds a little woo-woo. But frequency, everybody's getting now because of quantum physics. So.
Yes, and when you actually drink ayahuasca and you smoke a tobacco, you connect. So they believe everything has a consciousness.
Yes.
And when you smoke a plant, when you drink a plant, when you eat a plant, that consciousness makes it into your consciousness and develops.
And the reality of it, because of quantum physics, that's all that's going on here, okay? Because we're 99.99999% space, okay? So there's we're being bombarded with different frequencies right now. Radio frequency, TV frequencies, this internet frequencies, there's Wi-Fi they're everywhere, right? And so, and thoughts are frequency. So 7 billion people, all these thoughts are going into this field of infinite possibility that the Bible calls ether, Tesla called plasma, Chinese called chi, Indians called prana. This is energy right here. Yeah. It's free energy. We just got to learn to tap into it. Maybe somebody already did, but that's another story.
That's another story. Yes. So they were drinking ayahuasca, and they learned through spirits, whatever you want to call it, that
God, creator,
that the combo can help them with the immune response, with the immune system.
Because there was an epidemic, a health epidemic. So they needed, elder people were dying. They didn't know what to do. They're the medicine man. So they go into the jungle, drink the ayahuasca. Spirit talks to them. God talks to them. Creator talks to them and says, hey, go into the Amazon, find this one frog, extract this poison, burn your people's skin, put it in there and see what happens.
Yes. So then...
And I believe that's true. As crazy as all that sounds, I believe before this modern society that we now live in, there wasn't all these distractions. Yeah. So people had to be in tune. That's how they could chart the sky every night and follow the sky. That's how they could go into nature and figure out if a plant was good for them or bad for them, because they were connected. There's a connection here. We're all connected. We're connected to Earth. We're connected to one another. We're connected to the sky. It's all one. Okay, sorry.
And if you think about it, so ayahuasca comes from the Amazon. And there are countless tribes in the Amazon who discovered ayahuasca for themselves. In Peru, in Brazil, in Colombia, they were so far away from each other.
But they knew, connected.
And they all found the exact 2 plants out of 40,000 different ones, and they combined them. But the people in Colombia found it, in Brazil, and in Peru, independently of each other. Yeah. So there's a lot
Something's going on.
Something's going on. Anyway, they discovered this frog, and it helped them in that epidemic, and also they use it when they go hunting as well for the physical strength. It really activates your being.
Do you feel more physical? Now, I would imagine to get that physical strength, you got to have a smaller dose. You know, if you took a real big dose and go hunting, to me, that would be difficult.
It would be difficult also, like, not right after you took it, but maybe an hour later or 2 hours later. Also, if you're indigenous, if you grew up in the Amazon, you have a different connection to these plant medicines.
Oh, and by the way, let's talk about this real quick, because they combine coca leaves and tobacco and chew it, right?
As well.
So
yes.
For energy as well.
Can we stay on the combo
first?
Go ahead,
and then
please. We'll go on to the other one.
Please.
Yes. So combo, very powerful. There's different things going on. One is the stagnant energy. You know, sometimes you feel like this and because you drink the water, it's like a combination of water energy, which starts moving things, and the fire, because you burn. And once the combo is applied, you'll feel a lot of heat going through your whole body. You might become white white or red. Your
lips might puff up.
You might look a little bit like a frog. So all of this is a bit crazy too. And but one of the most difficult is basically drinking the 2 liters of water, applying it. It's not really painful, and then you feel that heat, and then once you vomit, it's already over. So it's also just about a 45 to 1 hour process. After that, it's very important that you eat well, that you replenish, that you rehydrate, and yes, that's the process of it. I had somebody who's like, been very like lethargic, and then he took Kambo and he's like, the old me is back. I have a lot of energy now. Also, it's many people who have experienced cancer as well. The Kambo is very helpful for that as well. Again, we're not saying that Kambo is healing cancer, but it can
detoxifying.
It can be another thing to help on the journey. And for detoxifying, there's even more effective purgatives, like the Ayahuasca, for example. But the Kambo is more to strengthen the immune system. So less about the cleaning, more about the activation and the strengthening.
Got it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking for the increase in energy, to be honest with you. That's why I'm doing it. So let's talk a little bit about breath work and ice baths.
Can I have a sip of water?
Agua, por favor. I'd give you mine, but mine has... Is that water right next to you? Oh. We're good.
I was not paying attention like that.
We're a full-service podcaster.
You want to ask me again about...
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this, and I think you do this at your retreats as well, and that is breath work and ice baths.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So for me, I'm super passionate about ayahuasca. But the thing is, you want to have different tools, different healing modalities to work up to that and to also integrate those experiences. And I look at things that have helped me on my journey and help share that, pass that along to others as well. And one of them has been the ice baths, which I started doing in Germany in the winter when it's, you go in there and you go out and it's still cold and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of benefits for the physical body, but even more than the physical, I think the mental is amazing. Because when you're in the ice bath, you're not thinking about the problems of yesterday or the worries of the future. You're just making sure you get out, get the blood to your vital organs, all that kind of stuff. And we're living very comfortable lives. We have become soft in certain ways, right? Like life is so easy, but through that you also lose something. You lose some of that primal physical strength that was needed hundreds of years ago, and everybody naturally had, because the environments were that much more rougher. And if we are not living in those rough environments, well, creating some of those environments for yourself and exposing yourself to those will make you stronger. Wim Hof made them famous. I like his 3 things: become strong, happy, and healthy. Because there's so many other ideas. I need to be rich, do this, travel, blah, 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 and it goes on. But if you break it down, if you're strong, happy, and healthy, you're living a good life.
That's what we want. And we buy into this other BS. Okay, we're going to run out of time, so I want you to give a little commercial. If I'm watching this and I want to come and work with you and I want to do one of your retreats, and ayahuasca retreat, experiences, other stuff, how do I get a hold of you? Where do I go? What do I do?
So you type in ayahuasca-retreat.com, then you'll find me. It's ayahuasca retreat Guacamayo, but ayahuasca-retreat.com is easier to find.
Okay, and I can register right there, or do I call you, or
yes.
Sign up and pay?
So I have a Calendly link. I like to have a video call with the people before, because it's a very personal journey. I want them to be able to ask all their questions about ayahuasca, about our process, and I want to meet the people too before they come to the retreat. So it's not like psychedelic tourism or all that kind of stuff, but the people who are coming to the place.
We have the same vetting process in Mountain as well, because ours is a very intimate 2-week retreat, and it's only 18 people, so everybody's got to jive. It's got to be everybody on the same page with the same intention. So we have a vetting process to put the best group together for each retreat, because ours is all about a healing or a transformation that lasts. That's what we want to offer. So, you're here. We don't compete with one another. In fact, you're gracious enough to be on our faculty as our director of plant medicine ceremonies and assist us, and we're excited about that. We're excited to work with you. and to support what you're doing here, because we're not really an ayahuasca center, we're more of a detox, physical, and rewire the neural pathways of the brain, clean up emotional wounds, have a great healing that you orchestrate yourself, and have an amazing transformation. You go home back to America, you become the best version of yourself. So, I want to thank you for being here. I look forward to continuing to work with you. I admire you. You inspire me with your energy and your love for plant medicine and what you're doing in the world. So thank you for all that as well.
Thank you for having me on, and I'm just as much inspired. For me, it's incredible to meet people who have found their purpose. It's a different level of conversation, and you could be doing whatever you want to do. You could be out on the sunset, enjoying life, but you're like, no, I have a mission. People are hurting. I found a solution. I want to share that solution. So thank you very much for being that powerhouse and doing these amazing things, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you all. Hey, if you've enjoyed this episode and you found it interesting, if you're still watching us, you haven't turned us off because we're too woo-woo, and we're really not. This is science, ladies and gentlemen, and this stuff really works, where people are having amazing discoveries, healings, and breakthroughs, and this is available to you, and we want this for you. So check out Oliver's work. You can check us out at mountainsofhope.com, our first retreat. I've been working with this for a long time, over 5 years now. But finally, our first transformational health retreat is December 2nd, 2023. We're going to start marketing it pretty soon. So just go to the website, make an appointment, and we'll share more with you. And we would love to have you come down here. But if you know somebody that's suffering with an illness and they just can't move past it, share this with them. And I'd love to chat with them. Until next week, this is Mike Murphy, and this is the podcast called The Power of Your Voice. Go out there and manifest the life of your dreams.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart in supporting me in bringing my message of hope, health, and abundance to as many people as possible. Will you please like, subscribe, and share this podcast episode, and I hope one day to meet you at Mountains of Hope, a place for deep healing and transformation.